What's so holy about Holy Week? Hello, I'm Pastor Emily Edenfield, Assistant to the Bishop for the ELCA South Carolina Synod. Welcome back to Lutheran F.A.Q, Frequently Asked Questions. Today we'll be asking, what's so holy about Holy Week? Holy Week is a name for the week before Easter in the Christian calendar. It starts with Palm Sunday and continues through Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, and Holy Saturday, all before we get to Easter on the next Sunday. During this time, we remember the last week of Jesus' earthly life, which began with a triumphant parade coming into the city of Jerusalem and ended with his death on the cross and burial on Friday. On the third day after Jesus' death, which we call Easter Sunday, Jesus rose from the dead. What this might look like in a local congregation is a whole lot of worship services, each with their own special flair. Let's walk them through and follow this story from Jesus' arrival into Jerusalem to Jesus' resurrection. Palm Sunday is 1 week before Easter. We often start that worship service with a procession because we're remembering the story where Jesus rides into Jerusalem. As he comes in on a donkey, people throw down their coats and palm branches, making a red carpet of sorts for Jesus. You can read this story for yourself in the Gospel of Mark. We usually read this gospel right at the front of the service, with other readings happening at the usual times. Some congregations also celebrate Passion Sunday on this day. Instead of the regularly scheduled readings, they'll read the entire story of Jesus' week. Starting with Sunday, they move through Jesus' teaching and preaching, his final meals with his disciples, and his arrest, suffering, death, and burial. Passion, in this case, doesn't refer to a romance novel, but instead means the emotional and physical suffering that Jesus endures during that time. So the Passion of the Christ is about all the events that Jesus suffers on our behalf. Daily prayer is always a good idea, but it can be particularly meaningful during Holy Week. Whether your congregation offers it in person or not, I would invite you to take time each day to read through the Gospels and meditate on what God has done for us. The next service most congregations will have is Maundy Thursday. Maundy Thursday is the first service in the Triduum, or the 3 days. The word Maundy comes from the Gospel that we read that night. Jesus says that he gives us a new commandment, that we love one another as Christ has loved us. For many years, the church used Latin as the major language of the faith, and in Latin, new commandment is mandatum novum. Mandatum was shortened to Maundy, and we kept that name long after we moved away from using Latin as constantly as it had been used. The major story for the Maundy Thursday service is that of the Last Supper that Jesus shares with his disciples before he's arrested. 3 of the Gospels show Jesus sharing Holy Communion with his disciples that evening, while John's Gospel emphasizes foot washing. Usually, then, the church gathers in the evening for worship that may include foot washing and usually includes Holy Communion. This service ends quietly because it is the first piece of the 3 days. Many congregations also strip the altar and worship space at the end of the service. The altar cloths, the books and Bibles, the candles, and other elements are removed from the worship space as we remember how Jesus was stripped ahead of his crucifixion. Good Friday may be an even stranger name than Maundy Thursday. We don't know what the word Maundy means, but we know what good means. And a day when Jesus, the Lord of life, hangs on a cross and dies does not sound good. Worship on this day can take a lot of different forms, from remembering Jesus' last words on the cross, to settling in the growing darkness through a tenebrae service, to prayer around the cross or another format. What they have in common is that the focus is always on the crucifixion, death, and burial of Jesus Christ. Usually the worship space is bare or has plain black cloths. Some congregations don't use music at all, while others keep worship music simpler than usual. The last day in Holy Week is Holy Saturday. Saturday is a waiting day. In the scriptures, Jesus has already been buried, and he won't rise until the next day. His friends and disciples can do nothing, because it is the day of Sabbath, and therefore a day of rest. In a congregation, however, Holy Saturday can be a very busy day. Some congregations have worship, maybe even an Easter Vigil service. Some congregations host fellowship activities, like an Easter egg hunt. Often, altar guilds are preparing the worship space, Breakfast hosts are preparing to welcome worshipers, and property folks are cleaning, mulching, and otherwise getting ready for the big day. Waiting is a hard thing to do. The first disciples had heard that Jesus would rise again, but we know that it happened. We get the joy of preparing for the Easter excitement, and we often take full advantage of it. This whole Holy Week, from Palm Sunday to Holy Saturday, is leading up to Easter Sunday. It is the last and most intense week of the Lenten season. We can't have resurrection without death. We pause and remember Jesus' death and what that means about our lives as sinners who have been redeemed by the blood of Christ. We will celebrate with great joy and many alleluias. But before that, we sit and wait and remember what God has done for us. The story of what God has done for us is also the story of what God is doing for us. God is gathering us into communities. God is speaking through the Holy Spirit. God is breathing life into us and to all people. Thank you for welcoming me into your community and your conversation today. I hope that you'll join the conversation by commenting below or emailing me. You'll also find a handout to continue your thoughts and discussion in the comments below. I look forward to being with you again soon. Until then, keep asking good questions, and peace be with you.